This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, welcoming you to another informative episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 339. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading out to New Jersey today, and we're going to meet with a very special guest, Nick Albanese. Nick is known for creating Steady Form, a tool, an accessory that you use when shooting your compound bow that removes all the torque in your wrist. Yes, Nick's going to talk in detail about that, but he also is going to talk about Tack Driver TV and how he's opened up an opportunity, a channel for people to send in their self-filming, their double set filming, so you can be part of the Pursuit channel. He's got an interesting business model you're not going to want to miss. Nick Albanese. It's never too early to think about food plots. Whitetail Rendezvous has an ebook for you. Just simply text 33444 food plot to get your copy. Bleep, bleep. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and we're heading out east. Actually, we're going to go on the flirt at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for the Harrisburg show, and we're going to welcome Nick Albanese, the owner of Steady Form Outdoors. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bruce. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate having you here. And if you don't know Nick, you should go check him out because he's done some neat things in the outdoor industry, and he's got a lot of friends. I'll just leave it at that. Nick, just give us really briefly why you go to the Harrisburg show, because a lot of listeners are from Canada, from out west, my stomping grounds, and they don't get to the East Coast. So what's so special about Harrisburg?
Well, Harrisburg show is the largest show on the East Coast. It's a 9-day show and brings a lot of people from all over the place to come here and see all the vendors, the products that are for sale, and outfitters. So I've been coming here for the past 5 years. And when I first started coming, it was more to educate about the product. And now it's at the point where people come in who have purchased one, in the previous years. They'll come back to the booth and they'll purchase multiples. So it's a great place to be. I get to see people who bought product and hear their stories, and it's just a great atmosphere to be at.
Thanks for that. So let's just jump right into Steady Form and the beginning of it, and why you think and why it's a tool not only for competitive shooters but for hunters.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I started this many years ago, and I built the product for myself with no intention of ever starting a company. And I remember sitting down with a buddy of mine and telling him, he was a machinist, and I said, I need a product to do this, this, and this. And I drew it out on paper, and I remember him saying, Nick, but, I've seen you target shoot, and, you're a good shot. You don't need this. And I told him, well, I think I've come up with a way to prevent form breakdown in high-pressure situations. And we just kind of rolled with it, and he built it for me. And once it was built for me, and I noticed all the other added benefits that came along, I was like, wow. So I used that product for about 5 years prior to even thinking about starting a company to sell these products.
So, form, and I never shot competitively. I killed my first whitetail with a bow in 1976. Okay. I'm that old, folks. I don't act like it, but I'm that old. So, how would your Steady Form help me group my arrows better? And that's the only thing I can say because I've never been a competitive shooter.
Sure, and neither am I. For that reason, I've never shot competitively. What I did realize is the product is giving you an anchor point for perfect palm placement. And that's something we've never had. So a lot of people don't really know how to take to it. They don't know what to do with it. And as I go along in this journey and I explain to them and show them, I tell them it's technology so far advanced for its time because it's never been available. Now that it's here, my biggest question to people when they ask me about the product, I said, okay, so you have anchor points for the rear of the bow. And they'll say yes. And I say, well, what's so wrong about having an anchor point for the front of the bow when in reality, at full draw, the tip of that arrow is over your bow hand? Any movement you do left or right, you're actually steering the tip of the arrow. And when I tell them that, it all comes together and it just makes sense. The product was designed not so much for the target shooting because it has been banned in ASA and IBO shoots, and it's classified as an unfair advantage. But it was catered more to the hunting situations where we have one shot and we want to make it count. High pressure situations, your mind is going 100 miles an hour, and you just want to know your distance and get that shot off. It's a comfort to know that you have full control with points of contact from the rear to the front of the bow. And that's how that product works.
So with your steady form product, I'm not going to camp my bow, and I unfortunately I trashed my shoulder last year, and so I'm done hunting with a compound. I'm going to hunt with a crossbow. But before then, I hunted with compound bows. I mean,
right.
Like I said, since 1976, and sometimes in a tree stand, not so much on the ground, but a tree stand, I would miss deer because of the torque, and my
right.
wrist would go left or right or up or down, and if any movement at all, it's just like shooting a rifle. Any movement at all when you squeeze that trigger, you can miss, and you won't miss at 50 yards, maybe 100 yards.
Right.
You're probably on the paper, but 200, 300, 400, some guys are shooting further than that. It really impacts the shot. So we have to take shooting rifles and squeeze it down into the same thing as a bow.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but that's how I'm thinking of it.
Yes, just with a bow, it's a shorter distance versus a rifle, but the same effect. I tell guys this. I say I've heard it all from every level of shooter, and the one thing that they can't deny is that it's such a crucial point. Like, we all agree that palm placement on the riser is that spot that you want to make sure is perfect. We always had our anchors with our peep sights and our kissers in the back, but the front hand is controlling. Same thing with a rifle. You hunker down on it, and you got your hand on the stock, and you could be looking through that scope, and next thing you know, you move that hand a 16th in either direction and pull that trigger, and it's gone. That shot's gone. So it's the same evaluation with bow. But like I said, here's the product that will enhance any level of shooter depending on what the application is for. If I'm out west and I'm shooting long range or side hills or up hills, by having that product there, you create a triangle and anchor point, is what I tell people, because we have two in the back and one in the front. And that triangle, no matter how off our body is in form, we're actually maintaining true accuracy through points of contact. And it's never been able to be disproved. And it can't be disproved. It really works. But it's one of those products that it's hands-on product, and until you try it, you won't realize it. So you have to, and I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee for guys that are a little hesitant. You got nothing to lose. Try the product. If it doesn't do what I say, I will buy it back with no questions asked.
Nick, how do people reach out to you? I know, you're big into social media, but just tell us specifically how people can reach out to you.
Well, there's multiple ways. They can contact me through our website, www.steadyform.com. They can contact me through Facebook on the Steadyform page. They could message the page, or they can message me direct right through Facebook.
Thanks for that. And so I'm just thinking that as you were talking, I used to play a lot of golf. I don't know with my repaired shoulder how that's going to go. But, at point of impact, everything has to be square. And this is what I'm thinking, okay, if I had something like Steadyform that would square everything up, my swing, my hips, my leg, if I could be square, then every time I wouldn't slice or I wouldn't hook, I would hit the ball straight down the middle. And that, I'm spinning that up in my mind when you said 3 points of contact, you get a triangle, and basically, if I understand you, and please correct me, by using this tool, you have the best opportunity to aim small and miss small. You should be on that tick or that tuft of hair on that whitetail. You should smoke it.
Exactly. And that's what it does. I mean, there's a few things that I can't control. Number one is, misjudged distance. And number two is someone, bearing down on a trigger. But if you got those two in check and you put that bow up, all your points of contact are lined up, that bow is going to actually hit exactly where you're aiming every single time, no matter how awkward of an angle, how distorted your body might be leaning around a tree limb or the ground blind leaning. A lot of people don't realize that part of it. When we hunt, it's a one-shot deal. So when I get guys say, well, I shoot 400 arrows a week or 10,000 arrows a week, I get that. But you're also in a controlled environment where you can correct your shot. You can correct each shot time and time again. When we're in the woods, it's one shot under high pressure situations where your body form-wise is not put together. So that product is such an effective tool that now the more people that use it realize it. It's a higher success rate, higher kill rate. They're stacking the odds in their favor when they hit the field.
Thanks for that. And I'm just sitting here. I can remember I had an elk. He was under 10 yards. I mean, and we were in the mountains in Wyoming, and I had a guide behind me. We were team calling, blah, blah, blah. And he pulled it right on top of me. And my arrow was bouncing. I was smiling when you're telling that story. My arrow was bouncing so bad. I needed Steadyform. I needed Prozac or something. I'll never forget that. And I didn't shoot. And the elk's looking. He's trying to find the guy behind me, and I had the sand, everything was set up perfectly to have that happen. And he just walked off, and I shot him at about 30 yards. He turned broadside about 30 yards up the hill, and the rest is history. But when he was that close, how would Steadyform have helped me, because I was quivering. I was off the charts.
Well, one thing that it does is on your draw cycle, as you're drawing the bow back, with that product against your arm, it actually aids in the draw cycle. That bow is not actually wobbling in your hand, nor are you looking for that palm placement. For the guys that do remember that, once you come to full draw, they're really feeling their palm on that riser to hunker down. But by having that product, the stabilization that it gives you through that draw cycle is so much smoother, because that bow, you just relax that hand and draw it back. That bow becomes one with your arm. So there's no downtime in actually releasing that arrow. The more you think, the worse it is.
That's true. Shooting my rifles, or now my crossbow, and before we compound it's just like I'd like to shoot traditional. I never got good enough to hunt with it, but that's all muscle memory. I just pull it back, get to my release point or my anchor point, let it go. Boom.
Right. Exactly.
That was it. Boom.
Yep. And when you throw so many different curves in the mix, you've got a whole checklist of stuff to go down. In that kind of situation, the last thing you want to do is go through a check. You might not have the time to go through a check. But by having anchors guiding you, there's no downtime. All I need to know is the distance, and I'm coming to full draw and releasing that arrow.
Right. Interesting. So let's switch it up now and kind of move away from steady form, and let's move into how Tack Driver came to be.
That's a great question. Tack Driver is a TV show that I started with the help of a few of my associates. And what I wanted to do was give direct advertising to the product, but I didn't want it to be me saying so. So I decided to make it a member-based show. So people would sign up for Tack Driver, so long as they're using a steady form and filming their hunts, they would submit their footage, and I would, have it edited and put up on the show. But the benefits of being a member to Tack Driver, which is pretty cool, is I have affiliate companies that got involved. So through my years of traveling and building friendships in this industry, I went to certain companies and said, hey, I started this show. I'm not asking you for any money. I'll give you a free billboard ad on the show, but I need you to give a discount on your products for my members. So that there was an incentive there to sign up, come aboard. They're getting all these discounts to all these different products. Doesn't mean they're obligated to use them, but it's there if they want them. And in reality, what made the show so easy for the members was all they needed was a steady form on the bow. There was no other requirement. And I decided that was the way I wanted to go with my marketing dollars. I wanted to build a reality hunting television show using your everyday guy that was using resources that were available to them. And we kicked it off, and I mean, it's been growing unbelievably day by day.
I call that real people and real places, and you just put, we all know A-listers. Some people think you're an A-lister or call you an A-lister, so props to you on that. But thinking about it, the more we can help people that they would never get on a show, and you're helping them do what they love, and if they get the right footage, I'm sure you edit it and everything, then they have an opportunity. Yeah, they have the opportunity. So let's just give a shout out for Tack Driver right now, and just tell me, or tell the listeners how they can submit to that show.
Sure. They go to www.tackdrivertv.com. They can go there, check out the packages, sign up. I have two packages available. One's a producer's package, which includes a steady form, a hoodie, T-shirt, beanie, baseball cap, decal, and membership. And, that gets them signed up. If they already have a steady form on their bow, they buy an apparel package, which includes everything that the producer's package minus the steady form, and that's $84.99. From there, once they sign up, we get them all logged in. They get their coupon codes to the affiliate companies. If they decide to purchase, there's savings of thousands of dollars on products, which, like I said, they're not obligated to use for the TV show, but it's there for them to take advantage of. So that's where they would go.
And thanks for that. And listeners, I don't care if you're up in, the wooded lots of Saskatchewan or hunting Coues deer down in Arizona. Think about what Nick has shared in the first 20-some minutes of the show, and see if that wouldn't help you. Plus, the other thing is, hey, submit your stuff to Tack Driver and see how it rolls, and everything Nick has, he stands behind. So it sounds like it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it is, because here's another thing too, Bruce. To get involved with any specific show, it's a big investment because they're sponsored by multiple companies, and those are the products that you need to have. So let's just say a TV show wanted to bring me on board. This is the type of bow we shoot. This is the sight. This is the arrows. These are the broadheads. This is the camo. These are the tree stands. Now you're obligated to make that investment just to be part of it. With Tack Driver, all you need is a steady form. You can use whatever camo you want, whatever bow, whatever arrow, rest, sight, broadheads, tree stands, cameras, doesn't matter. And majority of people already have that stuff. So the investment is so minimal, but the return is so big, because then I'm giving them these coupon codes to the affiliates. And then we're also giving prizes to everybody that submits footage. Grand prize being, fully paid hunt, travel expenses, all paid for, hunting trip. So it's pretty neat. It's something that a lot of people are getting on board and taking advantage of and having fun. I mean, that's the reality of it. Just go out there, have fun.
And that's the biggest, thing to me. Hunting is building memories with friends. Dick Rogers out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I started hunting with him in 1966, and we're still hunting whitetails on the same farm that we did back in Wisconsin. And so, folks, build those memories. But Nick hit it, and all this year I'm going to talk about it, because sometimes we're not having fun out there. We turn into a job. I got to do this. I got deadlines. I got all this. Yep. And you're missing why you're hunting. And I understand some people, this is their livelihood. I get that.
Right.
But just take a hunt off and ditch the film, ditch your iPhone, get off the grid, and just go and sit in a tree stand in Buffalo County and hear the owl hoot and watch the sunrise come up and just go, oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm privileged, I'm blessed to be hunting and sitting in this tree stand, and I get the whole world's in front of me, and Mr. Wonderful may or may not come by that day, but there you are. And I mean, that excites me. I mean, I get excited about that. And
it's really cool.
I just call that the joy of the hunt.
Absolutely. I love it. And, even me, there's times where I'll be hunting and I'll self-video a lot of my hunts. And, I don't have the pressure of saying, oh, man, I really need to get that on film, because it's a member-based show. So there's footage constantly coming in from the members. So even a member themselves doesn't have that pressure, like, if I don't produce the footage, they're going to throw me off. No, Tack Driver doesn't work like that at all. This is reality hunting television, which are everyday people using resources that are available to them.
And the only constant, the buy-in is the steady form.
That's it. And if you have it, like I said, the buy-in is a steady form, and with that, you get an apparel with it. If you already have the steady form, you buy just the apparel package. That gets you signed up, gets you in there, and gets you all your discount codes.
Isn't America wonderful? You can be an entrepreneur and figure it out. No, and bring value to your people. And then they say, wait a minute, I got a platform, and they can throw it up there. And then if anybody says, what have you done? Well, go to Tack Driver, see my work. Yeah.
And we air on a national level. We're on the Pursuit channel. I purchased, 3 airings per week. One is Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. One spot is a primetime spot that I purchased, which is Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And then the third airing is 6:30 a.m. Sunday morning. So if they miss it once, they get a second chance to watch it, and a third. So we didn't take any shortcuts with Tack Up.
So listeners, I haven't talked to Nick before. I saw him at ATA very briefly, but think about. A lot of people ask me all the time, send me emails, Bruce, how do I begin doing this? And, I listen to this guy on your show and that guy, but, how do I really do it? To me, what Nick is going with Tack Driver is the perfect entry point because, one, your stuff's going to get edited and produced as best it can with the footage. Now, what's your decline rate?
I'm sorry?
What's your decline rate? Somebody sends in footage and it's not going to be,
as far as footage-wise.
Right.
To be honest with you, there's only one piece that I had to decline due to the fact that it was just not enough camera light. If I can see it, I'm going to air it. That's the editor's job, is to take that hunt, put it together, and make it look awesome.
Because that's a lot of work, because I edit my own show. I am Whitetail Rendezvous. And so just on the audio part, and then you take the audio and the video and put them together. It's a lot of work, folks. And those of you out there that are doing it, you take the shot, then you get X number of hours before then you can submit it to somebody. So this is fun. I'm kind of excited to hear about everything you're doing, but let's switch it up now and spend some time talking about 216 and your hunt recap. So start us and give us a couple of hunting stories.
Okay, well, 216, my New Jersey season started off awesome. In New Jersey, you have to take a doe before you can actually take a buck. It's an earn a buck system. And I started off the season on opening day. I took my doe, and I went the second day out. I had a buck picked out and ended up taking the largest whitetail that I ever taken personally in my home state, which ended up scoring out a gross score of 161. So from there, I went into shooting a couple more does and then headed out to Kansas, took myself a beautiful, roughly around 140-inch 10-point. And then some more does. I'm a big advocate of, taking mature does not every opportunity, but as much as possible, because my home state is just chock full of deer. There's just so many of them, and they're overrun. So I'd rather pass on a buck that I think would have potential and just harvest doe, for the meat or for friends and families that actively. So I had a great 2016 season.
Let's talk about New Jersey, because is it suburban hunting, or is there enough places you can get away from cars and houses and laundromats?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a mixture of both. Some of my spots might only be 3 acres, and some of them might be 200 acres. What I like about New Jersey hunting is the multiple opportunities that are available. It's 7 days a week hunting. You can bait these smaller spots that might be in between developments or in suburbia areas. I like to use those in my later part of the season because the gun pressure will drive those deer into those smaller patches. So I keep them quiet until later on in the season, and we get 6 months of hunting season. So you have so much opportunity to hunt in my state, and endless amount of tags as far as doe goes. That you get unlimited doe tag. So it's really a lot of fun.
Now, if you were going to share one thing about bow hunting with our listeners, what would that be?
Wow, that's a great question. If I had to share one thing about bow hunting, I would say to don't I never set myself up for high expectations. Because then when you put that kind of pressure on yourself, you kind of take the fun out of it. So I would say go out there, relax, have a good time, enjoy nature, and if it happens, it happens. But if the opportunity presents itself, you want to be prepared with the right equipment to make that shot count.
Yeah, I'm making a note. I like that. Now, talking about practice, how much do you practice with your bow?
Well, that's a great question also, because depending on what time of the year, I could be traveling to trade shows or going on hunting trips. But I try to practice as much as possible, so I'm going to say I would take my bow out 3 days a week. Not for the whole year, but for, I'd say, 9 months out of the year. Once I start traveling with these trade shows, I just don't have the time. But that product just keeps me anchored. You know, I could pick up that bow, you know, after a month of not shooting it and start off shooting exactly the way I left off, because the points of contact are allowing me to shoot true.
Wow. I just looked at my counter. I'm going 35 minutes, 36 minutes already into the show. And I could listen to you all day, actually, because you have a wealth of knowledge and you're in the industry to help people do it better. More humane kills, more ethical kills, just become better at their sport. And, hats off to you, Nick. Having said that, let's give you a couple minutes for shout outs and then we're going to wrap the show.
Okay. Want me to go ahead with the shout out?
Yes, sir.
Sure. I'd love to give a shout out to my partner, Tom DeVries, my co-host, Matt Rankin. These guys are the guys that I go to every day about things, and they help me out with everything that Steady Form and Tack Driver has, and stand by my side and have, which I can't thank them enough. On top of that, my family for putting up with my badness, my drive for the passion of hunting and the product itself. And finally, the biggest shout out I want to give to is for the people that have supported Steady Form, who have purchased product, who stand up for the product via social media. You know, some guys might want to get on there and bash, and these people that have this product stand behind it, believe in it, use it, love it. So I want to give them a real special shout out and thanks for all of that. And for the people that support Steady Form, even if they don't have it, I appreciate their support.
Well said. So on behalf of thousands of listeners across North America, thanks so much, Nick Albanese, for being on the show and just sharing your exciting life and developing a product that can make us all better. It's just a matter of, immersing yourself in it and figuring it out and letting it work for you. So continued success in all your endeavors. And I can't wait till, we could share a hunt down the road.
Sure, Bruce. Thank you so much for having me on.
On the next show, we got another whitetail stalker, Mara Budwig. Now, Mara isn't your typical lady hunter. She started out by picking up a bow, thinking, I want to shoot, I want to hunt big game, and she had some friends that helped her get started. She is driven. She is persistent after big bucks. Mara Budwig with Whitetail Stalker is next up.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.